Hey everybody, it's the Doom Dog. I wanted to do a video on the PlayStation Classic now that the full lineup of games has been announced, and I posted a poll up on the Facebook page asking what you guys wanted to see. The choices were a Doom Dog video or a episode of Drivecast with Dalton. You guys picked a Doom Dog video, so let's get this show on the road. So, we did a podcast about this when it was first announced. Since then, Sony has come out and announced the full lineup of games for the PlayStation Classic. Let's take a look down at this and see if this is actually worth it. Let's start off with Battle Arena Toshinden. This was a big deal in the early days of the PlayStation. I know I played it. I played a demo of it. It's a 3D fighter, and beyond that, I couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't remember this game. Could be just because I played a demo of it. There might be fans out there. I honestly don't know. It's not something that I hear people talk about frequently when they talk about this console. I don't know what to expect from this one. Cool Borders 2. This is a snowboarding game, and it's kind of arcadey if I remember correctly. I personally never played it. I know people that did and really enjoyed it. So I'm sure there are plenty of people that are really excited about this one. I have no experience with it, so I don't know what to expect here. But I have heard that it's fun, so I'd like to give it a try. I've never been big on snowboarding games in general. There was one on the Dreamcast that I played a fair bit, so maybe this will be fun. We'll check it out. Destruction Derby. This is a early example of what the PlayStation was capable of. You drive your car and you could watch it get destroyed over the course of the derby and run into other cars and they'd take damage and stuff like that. It was an interesting and impressive technical piece in its day, but it'll be interesting to see how it holds up. I can't guarantee you that this game will be good. Honestly, I never even played it in the first place. I remember it. I remember seeing gameplay of it. I remember seeing it on store shelves, and that's about the extent of my memory of it. I know it was a technical achievement on the early days on the PlayStation, and beyond that, I couldn't tell you much. Final Fantasy VII. This one's probably, you need to include this one. I personally would have preferred it if it was Final Fantasy IX or Final Fantasy Tactics, because I think both of those are much better games. But I'm not going to be bitchy about the inclusion of Final Fantasy VII. I just think the game is overrated. There are plenty of huge fans of this game out there that I'm sure are very excited to get to play this again. I have a strategy guide for it. I'll play it again and beat it again and enjoy it. I just would have preferred 9 or Tactics because I think they're better games. Grand Theft Auto. I've never played the original. I have played 2 and several other entries in the series, and this is one of the biggest franchises in gaming today, so I'm sure there are plenty of people excited to go back and play the very first one. I count myself into this, so yeah, hell yes, let me play the first Grand Theft Auto. I'm excited about this one, big time. This game is supposed to be a classic, it's supposed to be awesome, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it and play this one. Intelligence Cube. I know nothing about this game. It's a puzzle game. That's about the extent of my knowledge of it. It's supposed to be a good and fun puzzle game from what I have heard from people that have played it, but beyond that, I know nothing, so I have no clue what to expect with this game going in. Jumping Flash. This is a mix of a puzzle game and a 3D platformer that I've always wanted to play and haven't. It is supposed to be pretty good, and it was an early example of 3D platforming. This game actually predated both Crash Bandicoot and Super Mario 64, so this is very, very early 3D platforming. Huge deal in its day, massive technical achievement, and from what I have heard, a pretty damn good game, but from what I gather, and don't quote me on this because I could be very wrong, is that it was pretty much instantly outdated the moment that Crash Bandicoot and Super Mario 64 came out. Still, I've always wanted to give this one a try, so I'm excited to get to play it. Metal Gear Solid. Just fucking take my money. I love this game. I played this game more than any other game on this console. I have beaten this game more than any other game on this console. I love it to death. and I will gladly pick this up and play it again. Even though I have already bought the damn game on the original console twice, the GameCube remake once, and on the PlayStation Store once. I will gladly pick this one up again because I love it so much. But I have to wonder what they're going to do about Meryl's number, because if you remember in the original game, when the DARPA chief tells you to contact Meryl, he can't remember her codec number, and he tells you to look on the back of the CD case. And the number was on that, which is kind of a meta fourth wall breaking moment in the game. But I have to wonder what they're going to do about that. Are they going to put a screenshot of that specific thing on the back of it so that you can just look on the back of the package for the PlayStation Classic and get that number? Obviously, if that's not the case, you can easily look it up online today. But still, I'm very excited for this one. Mr. Driller. This is another puzzle game. I have not played it. I don't really know anything about it. I have heard good things. Beyond that, I know nothing. So I don't really know what to expect going into this. I have heard that it's good. So I'll give it a shot. Oddworld Abe's Oddysee. Oh, hell yes. I am excited to get to play this one. I only ever played a demo of it back in the day, but that demo really leaves an impression on you because at the time there was really nothing else like that. It was that genre of cinematic platformer, kind of like Out of This World was. So I'm really excited to get to play this one. It's supposed to be great, and from what I remember from playing a demo, it is great. Rayman. This is another one where I would prefer the sequel. Rayman 2 is a better game. Pretty much objectively a better game. But Rayman 1 isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's bright, it's colorful, it's gorgeous, it's got some very creative and inventive level designs, and it's a beautiful game. It really is, and I am looking forward to playing it again because I haven't touched Rayman in a long time. So yeah, consider this one another one that I'm excited for. Resident Evil Director's Cut. I own the original PlayStation disc, the DualShock version, and hell yes, I'll sit there and play through this one on the PlayStation Classic. Resident Evil Director's Cut's fucking great. I would prefer 2 once again because Resident Evil 2 is a better game, but I'm not going to complain about 1 because 1 is still a great game. Revelations Persona. This is the one that I'm most excited for on this collection. Revelations Persona is the very first game in the Persona series. So if you like Persona 3 and 4 and 5, and I know there are a lot of fans of those out there, you should be excited to play this. Also, getting a real copy of Revelations Persona will cost you more than this entire thing with 20 games will cost. So, yeah, really pumped about getting to play this one finally, and at a better price with a bunch of other games. I'm really excited about this one. I cannot wait to get my hands on Persona and play it. I've got 2, but I don't have 1. Ridge Racer Type 4. It's an arcadey racing game. I'm not huge on racing games. I know I do racing games for the Drivecast episodes, so don't at me. I know that kind of sounds hypocritical of me to say, oh, racing game, I'm not that excited for it, but I'll play it. It'll be some fun, I'm sure. I know I played some of the Ridge Racer games back in the days, but I couldn't tell you which ones I played, so I'm excited to get to play this, at least to an extent. I'll probably get a better capture device so I can stream from this and actually play this game for a few Drivecast episodes in the future. That's a ways off, though. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. The very first question that comes to mind when I see this in the list is why not just include a standard Street Fighter game? There were some alpha games and stuff like that on the original PlayStation. Why not include those instead of this? Although I am excited to play this because I've always heard that this is a great puzzle game. I'll definitely give this a shot. But I'm just baffled as to why this over a more standard Street Fighter. It's confusing. Not a bad inclusion by any stretch of the imagination, just a little confusing. Syphon Filter. Oh, hell yes, this game has the coolest taser ever. You can set people on fire with it, and I used to run around on a demo level of this way back in the day with my brother, and we just do that over and over again. It was so much fun, and I am so excited to play the original Syphon Filter on this thing. You have no idea, this game is awesome. If you've played it, you should know that, and you should be excited for it too. So yeah, definitely pumped for this one. Tekken 3. I am not a big fighting game guy, I mentioned that earlier, but Tekken's cool. It's a fun little game, and you kind of have to include at least one Tekken game in this, because Tekken fighting games are pretty synonymous with the original PlayStation, aren't they? The first three? And Tekken 3 is definitely a good choice for this. I'm not complaining about that at all. Tekken's a fun game. I'm just not that big into fighters. So, I'll play it some. Just, that's not going to be one of my go-tos with this thing. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. I have the PC version of this. So I have a better version that runs in 1024 by 768 that I guess it technically runs at a higher resolution on the PlayStation Classic because the thing runs at 720p. But I'll get to that in a little bit. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six is a good game. It's hailed as a classic for a reason. This is really kind of the beginning of the tactical shooter, where you have like squads and squad commands and you work together and you can die easily if you are stupid and that kind of thing. So it's a fun game on PC, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it translates to the console. So I'm excited to get to play this version of it. Twisted Metal. Oh, hell yes. I cannot wait to play the first Twisted Metal. This game is awesome. Once again, I would prefer the second one. Twisted Metal 2 is a better game, but I'm not going to sit here and complain about the inclusion of Twisted Metal 1, because Twisted Metal 1 is awesome. I played the shit out of this game back in the day, and I'm really excited to jump back in and play through it again on this PlayStation Classic. I am so pumped for this one, guys. So much nostalgia tied to the first Twisted Metal. I am so pumped. I cannot wait to play the first Twisted Metal again. Wild Arms. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this one, and I don't know why. I mentioned this game in my list of 10 RPGs video. I will link that in the description below if you have not seen that, and I will put a link at the end of this video if you haven't seen it. So make sure you go watch that. But Wild Arms is an awesome RPG. It's got a Western aesthetic, but beyond that, it's kind of your standard fare Japanese role-playing game. So if you like games like Xenogears and Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger and Legend of Dragoon and stuff like that, you're going to appreciate this game. It's awesome, kick-ass soundtrack, good characters, good story. Highly recommended. And that's everything. The thing about this is that there was no way that everybody was going to be 100% satisfied with this. There are too many classic games on the original PlayStation to fit all of them in this 20 games list, so something was going to be excluded. Having said that, there are some things that seem absolutely inexcusable that they should have included in other games, so it's just a little head-scratching that maybe you can understand why they didn't include it, but it still should have been there. And I've been fairly positive on this thing so far. I don't have a major problem with any of the games that are included. But this is where I kind of have to be a bit more negative to this thing, because there are some major games on this thing that seem obvious that you would include on a PlayStation Classic that are not here. First and foremost, where the fuck is Crash Bandicoot? Okay? I love Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3. They're great games. I got the remasters on the PlayStation 4 as well, and they're absolutely gorgeous, or the remake, technically. But I would love for at least one of them to be on this game. Include Crash 2 or 3. You know what I mean? This guy was the mascot for the fucking console. They had commercials where Crash Bandicoot was standing outside Nintendo's headquarters with a megaphone and mocking them. It was great. I loved it. He was the mascot for this console, so how the hell do you have the PlayStation Classic and not include him? Another big exclusion on this list is Spyro. Where the hell's Spyro? Spyro should be on this thing. If there was a mascot that replaced Crash Bandicoot at any point, it was Spyro. Spyro is also very synonymous with the PlayStation. You think Spyro, you think PlayStation 1 and the trilogy on that system, for the most part. And its exclusion from this list is just baffling. Gran Turismo 1 or 2. I would prefer 2, but I can understand why they didn't include this one on the list. Licensing for this particular game has got to be a nightmare, because it's not just a ton of car licenses that you have to get, but it's also licenses for a bunch of songs that are in this game as well. So that might be a nightmare to get that on this console, but it would have been cool to see because they're timeless classic games. I love, like, I've done several episodes of Drivecast with the Gran Turismo series because I love the old ones. They're great. Silent Hill is another massive exclusion. Like, you got Konami on board with Metal Gear Solid. You couldn't get the first Silent Hill on here? Silent Hill 1 is an awesome freaking psychological horror game. It might be the best horror game on the PlayStation, and some Resident Evil fanboys are probably going to get pissed at me for saying that. And don't get me wrong, the Resident Evil games on this console are great too, but I can't deny the quality that is the first Silent Hill. It's just an amazing horror game, and it should be on this thing. Maybe one of the Legacy of Kains would have been cool, like Blood Omen or Soul Reaver. One of those two would have been really nice. I associate Soul Reaver more with the Dreamcast because that's where I played it, but I know a lot of people associate it more with this console. Tony Hawk 1 or 2 would have been fucking awesome. I prefer 2, once again. I think it's a better game, but they're both great. And again, you might run into problems with licenses with all the real skateboards and skaters and all the music that's in this, so that might be why it's excluded. But I can't say for certain. Still, it would have been cool because that's one of the major franchises on that console. Castlevania Symphony of the Night probably should have been included as well. I know it just got a re-release and you can play it in 4K and whatnot on current-gen consoles, and that's cool, but if you got Konami on board with Metal Gear Solid, you could get Konami on board to get Symphony of the Night on this thing. Come on, Sony, you know you can do that. Tomb Raider. This one should seem obvious. I mean, Tomb Raider was another game that was kind of synonymous with this console. You get 1, 2, or 3, and I'm sure that would make a lot of people happy. I don't think they aged particularly well, but that really doesn't matter here, does it? Tomb Raider was a PlayStation classic, in the eyes of many, myself included. So, why isn't it here? Overall, though, I'm still interested in this thing. There's 11 games on this thing that I really badly want, and I'm not complaining about the other 9 that are on here as well. I'll give them all a play. They all interest me to some degree. There's nothing in this list that pisses me off. It's just what's excluded from this list that bothers me. It comes with 2 controllers and an HDMI cable. It runs at 720p, so I was hoping for 1080p, but 720p seems to be the standard for this thing. That's what both the NES and SNES Classic ran at, so I can't complain too much about 720, I guess. Still, 1080 would have been nice. You can run them all in 1080 on the PlayStation 3. A DualShock controller would have been nice as well. Maybe they could include that as a peripheral. After all, it is the better controller option for that particular console. Or maybe they can do a second version of this with a DualShock included. That would be fucking awesome. It would give them a chance to include a bunch of classics. Tomb Raider, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Tomba. All these other games that they just left out of this one would be awesome. And one more thing before I go. I did run the numbers on this. And I searched on eBay for every single title in this list and found sold listings for them in the United States to try to get an idea of how much all of this would cost if you were to buy the games individually. And this thing's a fucking steal, dude. All total, it's well over $400 to get every single one of these games individually. And your prices may vary because of the nature of eBay, but still, you're getting $400+ worth of video games for about $100 before tax, and that's a good deal, man. So I'm still on board. I have problems with it, but I'm still on board. I cannot wait to be able to pick one of these things up at some point in the future. I might even do a review of it. Who knows? I'm really excited about this thing still. Anyway, I've never done a video quite like this before, so make sure you let me know what you think of this format. If you guys like it, I can do more opinion pieces like this in the future. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Ring the bell to make sure you actually get notifications when I upload videos. Thank you for watching, everybody. Talk to you later.